Welcome to R.E.A.L.Talk Coaching, where we challenge the blueprint life hands us and create our own. This isn't just a podcast, it's a living room conversation, a space for honesty, community, and real talk about what success and happiness mean for us. Here, our voices and our stories are power, and together, we'll share tools, insights, and conversations that help you take real steps towards the life you want. Let's get into it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to R.E.A.L.Talk Coaching, our podcast. And we have another episode that is going to be so exciting and so informational for you all. So I am so excited about who we have today, our guest, our sister, who's part of our community. And we want you to make sure that you listen and hear to us about what's going on, as well as like and subscribe to our podcast so you can always be aware of what's coming up next. So without further ado, I'm honored and privileged to introduce our guest for this episode, Ms. Michelle Moore, who is no stranger to us, but we don't want to tell her story. We're going to ask her to tell her story so she can give it authentically and be able to share everything about her. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being with us today. How are things with you?
Hi, Sharon, Terry, Tara. Thank you all so much for thinking of little old me and inviting me. Um, Everything is good. It's different, but you know what? Let me not say different. It's new.
Okay.
Everything is new. Just simply because, the span of work, was so long and didn't know. And so, you fall into the everyday of the work life. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, well, this is different. This is new. Let me explore. And since, my soul, my spirit is always open to differences and change. And I know right now those are words that people want to ban, but I mean, life is different, diverse. So it's very difficult to move through and get everything that life has to offer. If you don't, just be more open. If nothing else, just to see if you like it. People always say, oh, I don't want to eat that. I don't like that. I don't know. I don't want to do that. The question really is, well, have you had it before? And have you done it before? Okay, well, how do you know? Just try just a little bit. Step outside the box. So, yeah.
Yes. So, you know what? I'm one of those people. I don't like change too much. It's chicken. If chicken on the menu, I'm gonna get chicken. So, but we want to hear about your journey. We know that you left federal service before everything happened, but you have a significant story how you came and reimagined your federal career. It didn't actually go the way that you thought it was going to go towards the end, but you didn't let that stop you. So we want to hear about you and how all that went, as much as you want to share.
Yeah, thanks. And that's a lot, and it's heavy. What I will start off by saying is my starting in government service was purpose driven. I'm a purpose driven person. I don't necessarily do a lot of stuff just because. It's got to have some purpose or value. Ironically, but not necessarily for me. The purpose in it for me is to make sure that anything I'm touching, anyone that crosses my path, anything I'm doing, that it is for the good of. So, you come into the government, or I came into the government to make a difference. And I just wanted to leave the government, or, praying that I did, that I made differences as I moved through. When I started, it's so funny, because I tend to always get these positions that are the people connection, which is yay. That's my favorite. So when I really started, I was in export controls, and I did all of the training on export licensing, with the Department of Commerce. So my whole government career has been under the commerce umbrella, believe it or not. Probably one of the good things with commerce is they have all these bureaus underneath, so you can scoot around a little bit and still feel like you're home, so to speak. But moving from that I liked a lot, and I just had to do that little plug because some things happened with the federal service, a reduction in force, and I was caught up in that, not really understanding it, not knowing what it meant, but still being moved somewhere safe, so to speak, still employed, I guess is the better word. And so that's how I got to NOAA. I had no idea what a NOAA was overall. I knew about, weather and ocean and all of that. I didn't understand the umbrella part. But I learned very quickly because I got to NOAA, and I was working in the EEO office. So for those that may not be familiar with those letters, it's the Equal Opportunity Office, or some agencies may call it the Civil Rights Office or the Office of Civil Rights. And I guess, without even knowing, or how something might hit you and you're like, I found my people. I found my space. I found my purpose. And with that, it wasn't as narrow as people think. It's a very, very broad field, which is great for me. One of my biggest things that I love is the outreach, which Sharon knows about that. I love doing outreach, going to the schools and showing the students, the teachers, the faculty. Surprised how many people pop over to your table when you got a bunch of little fun stuff. And so that is, I learned about NOAA and became even more impressed. I also started doing the career fairs. And then that's when I was able to do deep dives into NOAA, only to find out how awesome the overall agency is when it comes to mission. Again, it just my heart jumping for joy because the purpose of these are positions. This is an agency that you can't be thinking about yourself only. The mission of what you do is all about everybody else. The ocean service, making sure the waters are safe, the fish, making sure the fish are out there when you shouldn't fish. The weather service, I don't care if you live under a rock in the back of the wherever, whatever, if you got some kind of signal, they're gonna get to you. It's not, none of these services, even the atmospheric research and all of those things, like none of these things can be personable because whoever is doing the position has to have the integrity of doing what you say you do. And we out here trying to save lives. And so that's when I felt like, oh my goodness, okay, I am where I need to be. I'm where I'm supposed to be, and let me grow. Well, therein lies, I think you all may remember Sharon a little bit ago, excuse me, saying, I get emotional sometimes about it, but saying, me jumping in, me doing things, me caring about stuff, but having some struggles. And that's real. And since we're doing real talk, that's a real thing when you put your efforts in, you take hits, no glory or anything, just to make sure that the people okay and you're doing the job the way you're supposed to do it. I don't even like calling it a job because it's not begrudgment. You know what I mean? It's like I want to do it. I want to be helpful. But what I can say, what I learned later, much, much later, once I was out the door, was that you do what you can where you are in the time that you have. You stay true to what's real, even if it goes against the masses, so to speak. So, it was difficult because I always felt like I was being punished because I was so helpful. But I can say in the beginning of my career of coming to NOAA in the EEO office, the managers I had at the beginning who were also there for purpose and also was making this their career and not just a job, or not just trying to be elite or be the big person, on campus, so to speak. And so everything felt good. But towards the midway into the end, it was dynamic changes within the management. And it was, it was hard. It was hard to keep going. It was hard not to give up. But I had to do it. I had to say, you know what, no matter what happens with me, I'm going to be all right. Because, and a lot of that is because my faith is strong. And so I know I'm going to be okay, even though it seems like I'm being crushed. And that's how it would feel, being crushed. But the good news is that during those particular times of that type of management, there were people like a Sharon, a Tara, a Terry, so many people that always let me know, what you're doing is good. What's happening to you is not good, but what you are doing is good. And so, I endured, but I never, ever, ever surrendered my integrity. Never. And I never, ever, ever, even with being hurt, broken, confused, inside, I did not let that interfere with the interactions, the service, the communication of what I was there for. And you keep moving in that time frame as well. And this part I won't dwell on, but since we are talking real, and this is something that actually happened in my path here, out of the blue, I was diagnosed with cancer. And it is like, okay, well, what is that? What is that all about? But I had good people around me that were like, all right, we're gonna get through this. I'm in a sorority. My line sister went to the doctor's appointments with me. She took the notes because I'm just oblivious at that point. Like, what? I'm still like, what? And she did everything. I didn't say anything to my family. It's a lot to take in. And then take it in when you're struggling through this work thing. And with work being punished for things when I'm just doing my job. So a lot of hits, a lot to get through. That comes on. I mean, even, and you all can take this part out if you like, but I do think I do want to add the fact that, I even had gotten put on leave without pay from one of my managers during, those times of this struggle. It was hard. It was hard. But, just like with anything else, some things you have to endure. They make you stronger on the other side. I believe that to be true because you just don't ever know what that looks like. So I think you expect it to look like, oh, I'm flying, my wings are flying high, but I think it really is if you get through, hallelujah. You know what I mean? And then you just take on and move on to the next thing. And so that brings me a little bit more fast forward with the year before I retired. And there was just a lot going on. I mean, a lot. Because I had already been through a lot. And I throw this part in there. One of the other things I've gone through with, those disciplinary actions, I went into bankruptcy. I lost my townhouse. And now all of this going on, and I'm still showing up for work, and I'm getting the cancer treatments, and I'm doing all of this. But when you start to release things that don't matter, like when I said, I don't need this townhouse. It's okay. I don't have to live on this part of town. I can move a little bit further, which ended up having me taking like 2 trains to get to work, a bus, and the this and that, and the third. Oh, goodness. And then not to mention the fact I was in the DC area. Remember when Metro had shut down for revamping and carrying on. That had to be the hottest summer. That was something. But when it was all over, said and done, I ended up, everything ended up coming into place. I remember praying one day, it was so hot that day, and I just said, Lord, if you could just knock it down to, I'm only taking one Metro train. I would be wonderful with that. And so he says, you know what? I can do better than that. How about you don't use no trains or no buses, no nothing? How about I make it so you could just walk? Well, wait a minute now. How far I gotta be walking? He said, just trust and believe. Let me tell you, I was literally next door. Literally next door. So all of the struggle and the time and sacrifice, it just was gone. You know, but it was still drama in the office. But, you know, I think, I hate to say conditioned to it, because I wouldn't want anyone, no one should be going through half of this that I was going through. However, you know, we all get our hits in life, and they all look different, and they all come at different times. I do believe you get no more than what you can bear. I do believe that what you think you cannot, you do, and that lets you know you're stronger than you thought you were. And then those are the things that just keep you hopeful, so to speak. So that pushes me to the year before the retirement. I can tell you right now, I had no idea. Retirement, it wasn't, what do people say on my bingo card? I don't be saying that, child, I can't even win bingo. But nevertheless, I might be winning now. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea. I knew things were becoming heavy for me. I knew that I was saying things to myself that I'd never said before. I kept saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. But then every time I would say it, it would be a piercing in me. So, you know, with my prayers, it was like, no, you have to change your language, because you do want to do this. This is your passion, helping people. It may look different. You may be doing it somewhere else differently, but don't say you don't want to do this anymore. And so the minute that I realized, you know, my language, and what to say, how to say it for myself, at this point, not for nobody else, for me. It helped me to at least get through the days. But then time kept ticking, and I was feeling good with my words, but I wasn't feeling good with what was around me. And to move fast forward, one day I was in the office, and out of the blue, something happened, and I said, oh, you know what, I'm not gonna compromise another thing. Let me find out what's going on. My friend Sharon, do I need to turn the light on? It might be getting a little dark. She had a whole dog finger with the light. Let me drink this. So Sharon, who worked down the hall from me, every once in a while, almost all the time, she'd stop by, because I'm always supposed to be leaving at a certain time, and never. I'm there 7, 8 o'clock. But she stopped by and she hit the door frame, and I just melted. because the reality was not another day. The hurt was, but I can't leave these people. Not the office or the bosses, the people. And Sharon, she hugged me and she says, no. She says, okay. I said, well, I just gotta go. She pulled up, she says, all right, well, let me look at the retirement. Let's look at the retirement thing. We looked at that. I had no idea that I was eligible and could have been gone. But I wanted to share that part because very, very important. Because on that day, when I showed up, I came to do my job. But before the end of the day, it was like, but you can't do it another day. And then it just went basically from there. What's important about, as I pushed that date back a couple of times, Sharon and everybody's like, listen, no, you're not pushing that date back another day. And it was basically because, you know, I had clients, people needed me, and it was just, it was a tug of war. So what I had to do was prioritize, and I had to pick which one is the most important in dire right now. Now, mind y'all, that meant that I was gonna have to get on a plane. I had to go cross country from DC to California. So everybody is like, well, no. And I'm like, no, I gotta do it. And I did it. And so that caused me to push my date back a couple of times. Fast forward to the actual date coming of August the 3rd. Was so still, I'm still not getting it, that I show up in the office. And who comes down the hall and at my door? My good friend Sharon. And she's like, oh, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, well, I just got to finish all of this. I need to finish this and put this away and da. She turned into the mother that I had never seen before. And she was like, no, we are shutting this down. So she made me get out of the computer. I said, but what about my government credit card? What about my ID? What about this? She said, oh, no, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put all this in an envelope. We're going to do this. We're going to leave it here. We're going to lock the door. You're going to call the manager. You're going to da. And that, it felt empty. It felt scary. I think the biggest thing, probably, those pieces may even be imaginary. It may have just all been about that badge and the access. It was the reality that this is it. It's not you taking off. It's not, you going on travel. It's not that you're going even to another agency. No, this is it. And it took a minute for that to settle in. What was so important about August 3rd, and I didn't even think about it. Didn't even know when I was flipping the date back that August 3rd would be the day. But August 3rd is also the day of my diagnosis for the cancer. And so once I put those things together, what resonated was one of my other friends, she worked in HR as well. If I can say her name, if not, y'all can take it out. Kelly Seaberry. She had said to me, she says, I know you don't want to go. She says, but you're being moved out of the way for some reason. And you need to leave this so that you can go for your next part in life. So it's those little things that sounded harsh. But once I got on the other side, everything made sense. What Sharon said made sense. What Kelly said made sense. What my other coworker who had retired the year before, Carol, everything made sense. And so once I was able to know that I'm okay, it's okay. I'm not leaving people behind. I've done my part here. And so now I have to move into the next phase and blossom and have purpose and vision there. And so that made it even easier. Also, I had a bit of a distraction because it wasn't enough for me to retire. But it was something in me I had to get away altogether. I had to start anew. And so I had friends and my line sister for the sorority, would come down here and visit in Charleston a couple of times during COVID, and I liked it. I was pleasantly surprised, and I really liked it. And so since I didn't really have a real plan, and the blessing, because most people won't have this part, but the blessing was I had no reason not to. And I will say to everyone, we can talk ourselves out of some stuff. I mean, like nobody's business. Sometimes it don't take somebody else to rain on your parade. We seem to be doing that on our own. But what I want to say is always be open for change. Your change is not going to look like mine. It's going to be different, but it's going to be good. I'm looking at Sharon now, and she has an extra glow, like she's been basking on vacation or something. But I think it is when you have been of good service, because in the federal government, that's what we are. We're civil servants. Our job is to serve. Our job is to get you through these different pockets and processes, and to not, make sure that you don't get discouraged or you don't give up, or that, you are more than what anyone else may say or think. And so it's important to know whatever it is you want, whatever you desire, is there, but it may not look like what you think. I have been in this area. I got here in November, and I'm still kind of learning my way around and whatnot, but I have been well received. I don't feel alone. I don't feel isolated. I don't feel shunned, or anything like that. I want to make sure that I do say, for the record, Southern hospitality is a real thing. I mean, it is, who knew? It is very genuine. Someone asks you how you're doing, they really are interested in how you're doing. The pace is a little slower, but still very, very active. So that's good for me. I drive way more than I like to now. Those that know me know I'm a public transportation or Uber girl. Yeah, it's been really, really good. I've settled in. A couple of things to say on this retirement side. Again, gosh, you never know what you don't know until you retire. And I'm going to say that because like the Social Security, the make sure you updating the insurance, the this and that, and I'm like, oh my God, I never had to worry about those things. Or if something came up, I could always call somebody in HR and listen, and I need y'all to help me. But it's some things that sort of showed me, oh, you thought you was grown. No, you real grown now, because now this is a whole nother window. It's a whole nother window. It's a whole nother responsibility, but they're not heavy. It's different than what normally used to. But I'm embracing it. So I feel every day I gave myself like every day for a year was a new day, from August the 3rd, 24 to August 3rd, 25. And I say that to people because I'd never seen these days before. I didn't know anything outside of working. So what does this mean? What does that retirement thing mean? So I gave myself grace. My friends gave me grace, and so I tried to figure it out. I did little things like, okay, well, let me try to change this routine. So I make myself stay up late and look at TV, or dance around with my music. Everybody knows I love music, or do music, and so that I wouldn't be getting up early. I wasn't an alarm clock type of person, so that wasn't my thing. I'm a sunriser. So when the sun hit up, then that's when I'm moving around. Down here, it seems like the sun's all the time. So it is crazy. It seems like it comes so early. But just getting adjusted and adapted, doing things that I want to do, exploring. Every time it seems like I might be going back into like a routine. My friends, like Sharon, my sorority sister, will be like, nope, you ain't supposed to be doing that. Everything is supposed to be about you. You're not doing anything for nobody else. You're not. I wanted to get a dog. Nope, you're not getting no dog. Right? Ain't getting no dog, because my sorority said, she was like, because you're supposed to be traveling. How you gonna get the dog and you're supposed to be traveling? So, all of those things. I've met lovely, lovely people here in my community that I live in. And so it's good. I'm good. I'm okay. I'm okay. Better than okay. Yeah, and because I know we have to close down, but thank you all for even bringing this up or allowing me, because it was like a reflection. I do wonder, have I done what I was supposed to do? Did I need to do something else? But as we just did this sort of reflection, yeah, I got that done. I did it. And now I'm about to do whatever's out here that I'm supposed to be doing. So did you all have any questions?
So that was awesome. If I may, thank you. Thank you for sharing so openly and authentically. We met at NOAA. Had no idea your journey. So I appreciate you sharing it here. Um, as part of, the definition of real, it's about reimagining everything about life. And I feel like your story was a guide for doing that consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of want to ask you, how did you have the energy to keep revamping, reviving, reimagining, to be able to keep going? Because every time I saw you, you had a smile, like as big as what you have right now.
Yeah.
I would have never imagined on any day that I saw you, any of life was happening.
Agreed.
How did you do that?
God's grace and favor. And I don't want to throw biblical, that's not what I'm trying to do, but that's really because, was one of the quotes I used from one of the Drake songs. I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, I've seen dark days and hard times. I fully federally employed, and there are days that I would go home and I didn't know if I didn't really have anything to eat. But I think those are the things that sort of put you in a space where you understand, but so how much do you really need overall? You need just enough to sustain. When you do that, I think that's when things sort of open up a little bit more. But, to sort of stay in the pocket, you have to also have people that believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. And I think that's the pocket, the tangible, because we are human. That's the part that the Lord puts in front of you or puts around you so that you can know, like you could feel the presence of whatnot. But He knows us. You shouldn't always have to be able to touch and see and whatnot. And I don't think that's necessary, but I do think that there are certain things that may happen in this life where it's good if there's something tangible, if there's someone right there to help bring you out of the darkness. And just to say, but you're going to be all right. And so I think that's it. Favor, and then the placement of people who believe in you when you don't believe in yourself.
So one of the reasons why we wanted to do this was we wanted this to be like a conversation, because there are a lot of people who are living in fear of the unknown, or in pain, or their faith is weak if they're faithful people. And when they see people going through what you've gone through, the first thing they say is, how did you make it through? And so I think these conversations, and if all the ladies could come off of mute, these conversations are what needs to happen. Michelle, I remember being in a similar situation where it was the Great Recession, 2008, right? where I was laid off. And it took like forever, a year and a half to find another full-time job. And I think I could pinpoint the day that I had finally given things over to God.
Mhm.
Like, look, I can't do anymore. I've tried everything. And so when I think back to that time, and I try to explain to people what that felt like, it's
Mhm.
kind of difficult. And so I'm
Mhm.
asking you if there was that moment when you were like, I'm tired of feeling fear. I'm tired of feeling pain. I'm tired of feeling like I don't know what I'm going to do next. Was there a moment for you? And can you describe better than I can what that felt like?
Sure. And I'll try because it's hard to even like I know exactly what you're talking about. Um, the tired part I had several times. Um, several times. Once the bad management started. But there was something in me that said, this is just something you have to get through. For whatever reason, because at those times, I was hurt. I didn't understand. I was being singled out. I mean, as I explained, everything that could go wrong did. But there was something in me that just said, you don't get to do that. Until it came to the day in April when I came into the office. And by 3 o'clock, I was like, oh, And so when I had reflected back, because I don't know where that came from, but when I reflected back, Terry, in January at the beginning of the year. So that's possibly, thank you so much, because that must be the time when I said, no, enough is enough. I know exactly what I prayed for. And I'm telling you, it was prayer that even I'm telling it to you as if I'm watching this movie, because it was happening to me and I didn't even realize it. But I fell on my knees. I mean, I was soaked in tears. And I made a promise and I said, Lord, if you lift me up, my tears will dry. I will follow your path. I don't know what it is. I don't know it, but I promise you, I will follow it. So, and then, again, I'm faithful. I said what I said, did what I did, and I stood up and got ready for the work. And this is January. Same crap continuing to go on. And I'm like, but in April, I went in the regular meeting, the Michelle, y'all know. And it was just, oh no, not another day. And what that was whatever God instilled in me in January told me I was better than that. I was better than that. I don't deserve this. I don't need this. That's the other word. We think we need certain things. No, what you need is to believe in yourself. What you need is to get your courage back. What you need is to get up, stand your ground, and move on. Because if you can do it here, you can do it somewhere else. And that, that was just, what had come over me on that day. Even fast forward a couple of hours within the same day, because that's when Sharon came, I was still in that mindset. But I knew what I needed to do, and I knew I was going to do it, and that was reality. That was reality. So at that point, I had made a prayer. I got myself encouraged. So if I don't do this, I didn't want to find out. Because I knew that it had to be something else waiting, something else bigger, something else better. What? I have no idea. But when Sharon pulled up my stuff and we started looking through my things, let me tell y'all about when you do what's right and you don't focus on other stuff. I am just as much at the same level financially. Now, not when I was in bankruptcy and all of that, but I'm still in the same pocket of, I can do this. I don't have to let someone demean me. And on that day, that's what it felt like. Just being demeaned, being belittled. I've already been through all of this other stuff. And I'm honest in what I do. It's very, very hurtful when the people that should believe in you don't.
Yeah.
I'm not one, I don't have to be in charge anymore. But if I'm proficient in what I do, then you should at least offer me an opportunity. As a matter of fact, you don't even get to say no. I get to say no. And so that was one of the other things. It's like, I don't got to beg nobody for nothing. You have it twisted if you think I want your job. Now, I can do your job and spin all of this around because that's my gift. I know my gift. I'm working on my worth, meaning how much money is my gift worth?
Are we all?
That part I don't know because it's given away for free. But it was just those points, that time, that moment when remember I talked about you all turning that mirror around and you doing this time. It's seeing you through your own reflection and not somebody else's. Again, they don't get to say I'm not worthy. You don't get to do that. So once I relinquish, but then it's like, okay, now what are you going to do? So of course, I'm the senior person in there, have all the experience, I got all of the resources, got all of the contacts, got this, that, and the other. So of course, when I say, I'm out of here, it was, no, could you stay? Could you stay? But it was never, could you stay because of me, Michelle? It was, can you stay to help me, the other person?
Yeah.
Oh no, not another day. Am I doing that? No. So, you see my value, but you want it the way you want it. And again, it's at the end of the day, because I see Terry's face now. At the end of the day, and especially since you asked the question, you control. You're the one in control. Nobody else gets to say yay or nay. not when it comes to you. We're not talking about, the duties or anything like that. I mean, because those is already laid out, which supposed to be done. And what I would even say to that, to most people, I know with me, the process and all these pockets, I mean, they are what they are because it's law, right? But I do it differently. I stay within the pocket, but I put my own spin on it. If you're working with me, you're not gonna get, with one of the other folks, you're gonna get da 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 da. With me, you're gonna get more detailed. You're gonna be embraced. I'm genuinely trying to know what's going on. Let me tell you what we're gonna do. Let me tell you what you need to do. Sometimes it could be you. And I'm the type, and I see Tara shaking her head because if it is you, I'm about to tell you. That's being honest. And I have to laugh about it because for as many people as I had to be like, listen, they appreciated it. Like they appreciated the honesty because right is right and wrong is wrong. And then sometimes people have to see the part you play in what you feel is harm. So yeah, so Terry, I hope I sort of summed that pocket up for you. Because I can't see her face now. But I hope I summed that pocket up for you because basically it's you. Once you define, well, who are you? Like, who are you? And that's what you like, what you eat, what you try, how open you are to things. Like, who are you? And if I was going to leave this session, that would be my message to all of you and anyone that views this. The real question is, who are you? And don't nobody know that but you. And once you know, then you know what to do.
Wow. Michelle, I was going to ask you to sum up some things, but you just summed them up. You just summed it up right there because you said some things, and I just want to recap as we get ready to close out. You said about how you went through the RIF, the reduction of force, which they're doing right now. There are people who are going through this right now. You talked about, the hurt and things that you felt and things that people are feeling that right now. The loss of disconnection from where they were before and what they were doing, and they were in their passion, just like you had your passion of service. And like you said, we are and will always be, no matter whether we're in the federal government or not, those civil servants by heart. But then you also said about that new window that you had looked through and going through, and now you're saying, at the end, just knowing yourself, knowing who you are. And that takes time to learn who you are. I know for myself, I had lived with my parents or lived with somebody. I had children early. So I always had somebody to live with until I finally lived on my own. I had to figure out, who am I? What do I like? What color is my real favorite color? How do I like, those things, what is our passion, what is our purpose? So I thank you so much for all you said, for being as authentic as you always are, and sharing and being open with us. And I just want to ask, Coach Terry, if you all have any final words that you'd like to share.
I would just like to say thank you for being vulnerable, and thank you for talking about reflection, because I think that's what happens to a lot of people, when they face something that requires change, that requires that pivot to doing something else that they were not expecting, it is difficult. And they always look to see how other people have been able to make that pivot and be successful about making that pivot. And so that is one of the reasons why we're here, is so that people can see other people and um just have something to hold on to when they don't know what to do.
Right.
So and I remember wishing that I had that when I was at my most vulnerable.
Mhm.
And so it's nice to be able to have these discussions and have people come to a place where they can feel like, okay, somebody understands, somebody else has been through it, and this is how they got through it. And even though that might not be how I got through it, I know that I can at least start the process because I've seen people come out on the other side. So I thank you for that so much, Michelle.
You're quite welcome. Very welcome. I just, again, thank you all so much for even thinking of me. And that, I would be someone that would fit in your journey, because you all are on a new journey as well. And it's very exciting. And I'm very, very, very proud of all y'all. And I know you're going to do great things and blow this whole thing out of the water. And I will leave you with, if you, I'm not quite sure how things work, but if you get comments or people looking for more information, or to pull anything out of this pocket and maybe start another conversation a little deeper about a specific something or other, please let me know. I have no problem, adjusting my free schedule. Well, it's actually filling up now, but nevertheless, I have no problem, because this is important. It's very important, because it's so easy to lose sight, to be discouraged, and to feel alone. Because when those things happen, you don't see the verbal part of, but that's okay. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm here to help anytime.
Michelle, thank you so much for being here, for being with us, for the real talk that you came to the village with today. Thank you for being a part of our village. Thank you for offering to continue to be of service to our village. We appreciate you. It's great to see you. And we'll be seeing you again, of course.